Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Newsbrowse News broadcast. Japan's Defense Minister Shinjiro Koizumi is preparing for a visit to South Korea in late June to meet with his South Korean counterpart, An Ju-baek. This trip, his first to South Korea since taking office, is part of accelerating efforts to institutionalize military cooperation between the two nations. The initiative comes in response to escalating regional security threats, particularly from North Korea's advancing nuclear and missile capabilities, and its growing military ties with Russia. China's expanding military presence in key regional waters also contributes to these concerns. Both Japan and South Korea, as key U.S. allies, share strategic interests despite historical grievances. The planned discussions are expected to build on a January agreement for regular defense minister visits and increased military exchanges. Furthermore, a 2+2 meeting of foreign affairs and defense vice ministers is slated for early May. These developments, including recent operational collaborations like Japan's Air Self-Defense Force providing mid-air refueling to a South Korean aircraft, signal a move towards more structured and operational defense frameworks, UPI reports. UPI reports that China is set to expand its temporary zero-tariff treatment to 53 African countries, beginning May 1, 2026, and lasting through April 30, 2028. This initiative broadens existing trade incentives, extending preferential tariff treatment from 33 least developed African nations to an additional 20 countries that maintain diplomatic relations with Beijing. Under this measure, tariffs on eligible imports will be reduced to zero, although standard tariffs will apply to volumes exceeding quota limits where applicable. This move is seen as part of Beijing's broader strategy to deepen economic ties, expand its influence in the global south, and counter a U.S.-led international order. Notably, Eswatini is the only African United Nations member state excluded from these benefits, a decision linked to its diplomatic recognition of Taiwan. This exclusion underscores China's efforts to reinforce its One China principle and limit Taiwan's diplomatic space, especially following recent disruptions to a potential visit by Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te to Eswatini. CBS News reports that Trump administration officials recently flew on the first non-stop commercial flight from the U.S. to Venezuela in 7 years. The flight, an American airline service from Miami to Caracas, included Jared Agin of the National Energy Dominance Council and Venezuela's newly appointed ambassador to the U.S., Felix Plasencia. The White House team's mission is to advance agreements between U.S. companies like HKN Energy and Hunt Energy and Venezuela's state oil company, PDVSA, as well as mining firms. They also plan to meet with interim Venezuelan President Delcy Rodríguez Gez. This trip occurs nearly 4 months after U.S. forces seized Rodríguez Gez's predecessor, Nicolás Maduro, and his wife, who now face drug trafficking charges. The administration is rolling back sanctions to incentivize American investment in Venezuela's vast oil reserves, prioritizing the country's stabilization over an immediate democratic transition. Former U.S. official Juan Gonzalez noted Venezuela's economic opening is on a bullet train. While democracy is slower, Chevron CEO Mike Wirth confirmed progress on hydrocarbon laws but indicated more work is needed for substantial investment. Elections are not expected for another 2-3 years, with Rodríguez Gez possibly serving until 2030. Al Jazeera reports that at the 76th FIFA Congress in Canada, Palestinian Football Federation President Jibril Rajoub publicly refused to stand alongside Israel FA Vice President Bassem Sheikh Suleiman, a Palestinian citizen of Israel. FIFA President Gianni Infantino attempted to facilitate a handshake between the two men, but Rajoub declined, with Palestinian FA Vice President Susan Shalabi later stating that Rajoub refused to shake hands with someone brought to whitewashed their fascism and genocide, referencing Israel. Israel has denied committing genocide in Gaza. Infantino addressed the situation by stating they would work together to give hope to the children, acknowledging the complexity. Shalabi criticized Infantino's attempt, arguing it disregarded Rajoub's earlier plea for FIFA to address Israeli clubs basing teams in West Bank settlements. The PFA recently appealed to the Court of Arbitration for Sport against FIFA's decision not to sanction Israel over these clubs, as FIFA cited the unresolved legal status of the West Bank. In a high-stakes tech trial, Elon Musk, co-founder of OpenAI, testified on Tuesday, accusing CEO Sam Altman of betraying the company's original altruistic nonprofit principles. Musk claimed to have conceived the idea, named the company, recruited key personnel, and provided funding, stating he chose a nonprofit model. He seeks an estimated $134 billion in damages from OpenAI and Microsoft, alleging that OpenAI's transformation into a for-profit entity involved lying to donors, members, markets, regulators, and the public, and warned it could destroy charitable giving. OpenAI's lawyers, however, countered that Musk never delivered on a $1 billion pledge and quit because his demands for control were rejected. They argue Musk's lawsuit is motivated by him not getting his way, and that he cared more about his own standing than AI safety. The trial, which began jury selection on Monday, is expected to run for 4 weeks, with Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella also possibly testifying, NBC News reports. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.